Hey there Itsy Bitses! In this tutorial, I'm bringing you miniature throw pillows in 1/6 and 1/12 scale across 10 different designs and no sewing required. Don't forget to use the chapters to skip ahead to your favorite design. One of the challenges of mini making is finding fabric that has mini patterns. I've overcome this by making my own fabric patterns and heat pressing the designs onto the fabric. Let's cover the items you'll need, and I'll also pop links in the description below. You're going to need some fabric glue, a fine tipped glue bottle so you don't get glue everywhere, cotton fabric in your colour of choice, polyester fibre fill which we'll use to fill our pillows, heat transfer vinyl in your colour of choice, a pink fabric mat and a green standard grip mat. To cut the fabric, we're going to use the fabric Rotary blade, the fine point blade to cut vinyl, and I've also got 2 heat presses, a large size and the mini heat press. The mini heat press was perfect for 1/12 scale and the large heat press for 1/6. You can also use a steamless iron, a Cricut heat press mat, or you can also use a towel. Heat transfer vinyl comes with a plastic carrier sheet, which should always be placed face down onto your mat. I'm then using a brayer to make sure that it stays firmly on the mat. Let's start with our blue deer design. I found this pillow dimension chart online, which will help us scale down to the perfect size. For this design, I've used the Décor Pillow measurements. Using inch calculator, I've placed those measurements in, and then I've put my preferred scale. I can then use those converted measurements to miniaturize my pillow. Starting in Cricut Design Space, we're going to head over to the Shapes tab and click Square. Then I'm going to plug in the dimensions from the inch calculator. So to create a 3-dimensional pillow, our square needs to be multiplied by 2, and then we need to also add 1 inch on the end, which will be used as a tab to attach both sides together. To get these dimensions, I can simply multiply our square by 2 and then add 1. I also need to add 1/2 inch on either side of our square so that we can fold those edges inwards. I'm going to cut a square from the original dimensions as well, which I'll cut from paper and use as a guide template. Now let's find a cute design we can cut from heat transfer vinyl. I went with this cute deer design which has some feathers on his antlers. Once selected, we will insert that onto our canvas and then resize it so that it fits the front perfectly. To make the 1/12 scale, we will simply duplicate all of our shapes and then halve the dimensions. So the side edge pieces will be 1/4 inch as opposed to 1/2 inch. So here I'm cutting my paper template out. I'm using this electric blue 100% cotton fabric, and in Cricut Design Space I just select cotton. Then we cut using the fabric blade and the pink mat. For the vinyl part, we just look up heat transfer vinyl on Cricut. We're using the fine point blade and the plastic carrier sheet facing down. Now I have to say guys, weeding heat transfer vinyl is so easy to do. You can simply pick it up with your hands and it's not sticky. And then I use pointed tweezers to get all of the little bits out. So here's our design. And I'm setting my heat press to 185 for 15 seconds. I've ironed out some of the creases using my mini heat press. Then I'm going to iron across the fold lines so that I'm very precise with my measurements, and I can use those paper templates I made earlier. And you'll see there's that 1 inch gap, which I've then ironed down. Then fold in half to make a square and iron that fold. Then we're going to place our heat transfer vinyl on top with the carrier sheet facing up. Then press with your whole body weight and click on the Cricut button until the timer runs out. Now some heat transfer vinyl is hot peel and some is cold peel. This was hot peel, so I've peeled the plastic off while it's still hot. And here is our pressed design. Now let's assemble our 1/6 and 1/12 scale. So we're going to unfold and place a layer of glue along that edge, not putting too much. Fold it back over and glue those 2 edges together. Now this part takes a bit of practice, but you're going to fold the edges inwards, like so, and then using the tweezers, poke those two little ends inside. Now remember, we're folding in 1/4 of an inch for the 1/12 scale. Once folded in, use your fine tipped glue bottle to apply glue on the inside and then gently press it down. Then we're going to get our pillow filler, get the desired amount and push that inside your pillow, and then again fold those edges inwards. Apply that glue and press the edges together. And here's our final design. The blue is striking and I was really pleased with how it turned out. Next we're making this pink mandala design. So we can use the same template that we did for the deer pillow, except this time I've looked for the word pattern in the images tab and I've found this really lovely mandala. Remember to use your paper template as a guide and simply resize your mandala. We're also going to create a duplicate so that we can have the design on both sides of our pillow. Here's our grey cotton fabric and our heat transfer vinyl with the carrier sheet facing down on the mat. This took quite a long time to weed, but I was really happy with the design. And again, I'm just using those paper templates to guide where I should be ironing that fold. Then fold it in on itself and iron that crease. Carefully center your design and ensure that the carrier sheet is facing upwards. Press it down. And peel off that carrier sheet. Then we're going to flip the design over because remember it's double-sided, and repeat these steps. So we've got our 1/6 and 1/12 scale design, and this one had some loose threads, so I've just cut those, and we're going to repeat the exact same steps that we did for the deer design. And here's our finished grey and pink pillow. I would honestly like to put this in my house in full scale. Now I'm going to show you a design in printable vinyl. So I did a search on Pixabay looking for wallpaper and I found this rainbow design. Save this high resolution image to your computer. Click on the Upload tab, find your file location and upload it into Cricut Design Space. And we're going to select Print and Cut. I've used the same pillow template that we used for the deer design, and then I've resized our Print and Cut so that it covers just the areas of the pillow that are going to be visible. This will make it much easier to fold those edges in. I've used a calico fabric for this design and light cotton heat transfer paper. So you'll print it out on your printer, place it onto a green standard grip mat, then feed that through your Cricut machine, and the Cricut will shine a light across the black detection box so it knows exactly where to cut. When using printable heat transfer vinyl, we need to add a piece of parchment paper over the top of our vinyl, and this is because it doesn't come with a carrier sheet. Place your vinyl with the colourful side facing down, making sure to center it with that 1 inch on the end. Place the parchment paper on top and press. This was a hot peel, but check your own instructions first. Apply glue to that 1 inch end piece, then fold it in with the colourful side facing out. Then, as we did with the other pillows, we're going to fold these ends inwards so that they're no longer visible. Apply glue inside that edge, then pinch that end together. And then fill your pillow with the polyfill. Repeat the folding steps on the other side. And there we have our printable vinyl pillows. I have to say I was really surprised by how vibrant they looked. Now I'm going to make a word pillow. So starting with the same template we used earlier, we're simply going over to the text tab and typing the word relax. And then we can change the font up the top here. I went with this font. Resize the word to fit your template. Now for this one, I'm using the glitter iron-on setting, and we still use the fine point blade. But because we're using a word, you must turn on the mirror effect. This will reverse the words so that when you iron it onto your fabric, it's facing the right direction. I also recommend using more pressure for glitter iron-on because the glitter can be quite chunky. So here's our black cotton fabric and our glitter iron-on. So we're going to follow the exact same steps of putting in those fold lines and then pressing on the vinyl. And the assembly is also exactly the same. And here's our finished product with the word relax. This sparkly silver vinyl was so pretty. Now let's create a full pattern fabric. For this design, I've used the Euro pillow dimensions, putting that into inch calculator, just like I did with the previous pillow, and then transferring that over into Cricut Design Space. Remember that your pillow square will be multiplied by 2, and then you're going to add 1 inch, which will be the tab that we adjoin those two ends. Remember, we're also going to add an extra inch because those folded edges are 1/2 inch each. Under the Images tab, I've looked for the word pattern. Now there are a lot of patterns available in Cricut Design Space. I chose this pattern right here, which I've inserted onto my canvas. Resize your pattern so that it fits the height and width of your rectangle. Now in order to create this fabric, we need to create a duplicate of our rectangle because one of them will be cut from material. Drag your pattern across so that it's covering one rectangle, highlight both, go up to a line and click center. Then we're going to highlight both and we're going to use the slice tool. And Design Space will cut that pattern out of your rectangle shape. And we can use this template for cutting our heat transfer vinyl. Now don't forget, if you want to make a 1/6 scale, you can simply duplicate your shapes and then halve those dimensions. I've got this vibrant purple cotton fabric. Here's my gold heat transfer vinyl. So we're going to weed the design on 1/6 and 1/12 scale. Now because our design goes all the way to the edge of the fabric, I've placed a parchment paper underneath so that I don't accidentally stick the heat transfer to my mat. Now I'm going to iron those fold lines because the glitter does make the fabric a little bit stiff, so you want all the help you can get. Remember, for 1/12 scale, that end piece is 1/2 inch, and then the two side pieces are 1/4 each. So here is 1/6 and 1/12 with the fold lines, and we simply repeat that folding and gluing process. This one was absolutely hands down my favorite, but I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know which one is your favorite. I've also designed a mini pattern in this gold and black design, following the same steps to cut our pattern out of our fabric template. I've used holographic heat transfer vinyl and black cotton fabric. It was a little bit harder to weed than the other heat transfer vinyl. I was also really surprised to see that after I heat pressed, the vinyl changed colour to this gold and green shimmer, and that's because I've used a darker fabric. Follow the same folding and gluing steps that are in the deer design. The camera really doesn't do this one justice. It's much more vibrant and holographic in person. Now let's make this beach design. This one is slightly different because it's a rectangle pillow, but the principles are the same. We take the measurements for the full scale pillow and we scale them down. The length of our material is also the same. So we take our rectangle, we multiply it by 2, and then we add an extra inch on the end for the 1/6 scale and half an inch to either side. Also, don't forget to create your paper template. Now for this design, I've layered different coloured heat transfer vinyl. Locating my design under the Images tab, I've typed flower, and you'll notice on the Layers panel on that left hand side, I've clicked Multi, which will show me designs that have multiple coloured vinyl. Let's go with this one. Now the colours are already chosen by Cricut Design Space, but this is to simply help cut it on 2 separate mats. You can put whatever colour you like. So size it up using that template. And again, to create the 1/12 scale, we simply duplicate all of our shapes and then halve the dimensions. So I've cut the flower design from this pink heat transfer vinyl and maroon vinyl for the leaves. So you can see we're going to layer these 2 vinyls together. Now again, we just want to figure out that 1 inch mark and then help fold it, then fold it in half and then iron again. We're going to heat transfer the leaf design first and then place the pink vinyl on top and press that down. Then remove that carrier sheet. Now the assembly is exactly the same, except it's a rectangle shape, but the edge pieces, half an inch on either side and sticking those edges in, that is all of the same steps. To give this a beachy theme, I've used this jute string. So apply a line of glue to one edge and then we carefully press that down on the top. And we repeat that step for all 4 sides. Trim off the edge piece and there you have it. This would be great for a rustic style dollhouse or a beach theme. Next up, we're going to make this neck roll pillow. Go over to the Shapes tab and create a circle to start with. Then using our full scale dimension chart, I'm going to put that into inch calculator and look up 1/6 scale. Then make our circle those dimensions. Next, we need to calculate the circumference of our circle so that we can make the fabric to wrap around. So go over to Google and they have a circumference tool. We need to enter the radius, which is half of our circle dimension. And then Google will provide you with the calculation of your circumference. Go over to the Shapes tab and create a square. Unlock the aspect ratio in the bottom left corner, and then we're going to enter the circumference. We're also going to add 1 inch to the end of our rectangle so we can join those 2 pieces together. And you can really make your pillow whatever width you like, but I've gone with these dimensions. To keep the cylindrical shape, I'm going to cut 2 circles from cardstock and then add little tiny tabs so it makes it easier for me to stick the ends onto our cylindrical shape. So duplicate your circle and then go over and create a diamond shape. Resize it so that it's just poking through the top of your circle like so. And then we're going to duplicate our diamond several times, rotating it so that the little pointy ends are poking out the top, bottom, and then left to right. Once all of the shapes are in place, we can highlight everything and click Weld. And then to make it easier to fold, I've duplicated the circle and then centered it with our pointy circle. And then I've changed that circle to a score line. But you also need to attach your score line to the circle so that Cricut will score the outside edge and then it will cut it out. And we need to make 2 pointy circles, so I'm going to duplicate. So I'm using this cute light blue polka dot fabric, and here's the cardstock being scored and cut. And I've glued the fabric onto the ends using some glue tape. And then fold the pointy pieces downwards, applying some glue along the outside. Then we're going to place it on the very end like so and press it down with some tweezers. And then apply glue to each of the tiny tabs and rotate your fabric around that circle. Then we're going to glue these 2 end pieces together. Place some stuffing inside. Then repeat that step for the other side. Now it can be a little bit tricky, you might need to use tweezers. But this is the finished product. This pillow would be great to bring extra dimension to a mini bed. Now we're going to make a Moroccan style floor cushion. So for this one, I found a full scale round cushion and taken those dimensions, popped them into inch calculator and then transferred that over to Cricut Design Space. We are going to duplicate our circle, and with the second circle we're going to make it a fraction bigger because we need to create some tabs to glue together. Place the smaller circle inside the bigger circle, use the align tool to center everything, then go over to the shapes tab and create a diamond, and we're going to make it a little bit more narrow, and then just rotate it and place them across the circle. And you can use the flip tool to flip the shape so that they're in the exact same location. Drag that center circle away, and we're going to color it white because this will be our template. Then highlight just the diamonds, and we're going to click weld to make it one single shape. So once welded, highlight both objects and then click slice, and this will cut those diamonds out of our circle, leaving you with the template underneath. So to locate this design, I've looked for the word mandala under the images tab, and once I've got my chosen design, I scale it so that it fits in the center of my template. Don't forget we need 2 template pieces because there's 2 sides to our pillow. I'm also using the contouring tool to create different layers from the same mandala design. I'm going to cut 2 layers from teal heat transfer vinyl, and then the middle layer I'm going to cut from teal glitter vinyl. So to do this, we go over to the contour tab, and then we select all of the objects that we want to use for each layer. Once you're happy, then click off the contour window and it will keep your changes. Repeat this step 3 times until you have 3 distinct layers. Here's my light teal vinyl, and then the darker vinyl, and our glitter vinyl. And we simply weed the areas that we're not going to transfer. And here you can see our 3 layers together. I've transferred the light vinyl first, and then the darker vinyl, and lastly the glitter vinyl on the top. Be sure to remove the carrier sheet at each stage. Now I'm using flat wadding for this design. I place some glue in the center, and then we're going to glue each of our tabs against the side of that circle wadding. Then using our second template, we're going to glue those tabs together, and do that across all of the edges of your pillow. Next, I've measured the thickness of our pillow so that I can create some long rectangles to place around the outside. So we enter those thickness dimensions, but we're also going to add 1/4 inch to each side so that we can fold it inwards. Once that's cut out, I've used the glue tape to then fold those edges inwards like so. Then repeat that step for the opposite side. And you should be left with a strip of fabric that you can then glue around the outside of your pillow. To finish up the final touches, I've applied more glue and then neatened up those edges. And this is our finished Moroccan floor pillow. I've really liked the teal accents on this pillow. Our last design is this black and white checked fabric with a button in the middle. I've used exactly the same circle template as our Moroccan design. We're going to place a row of glue around our circle. We're doing it on the pattern fabric side. Then place the other side down so the pattern is facing inwards. Leave one tab unglued because we're going to turn the pillow inside out. You will need to do this after the glue has dried. Turn it inside out like so. And then stuff the pillow through that hole. Then we're going to fold those tabs inwards and glue them down. Now at the start I did say no sewing, but we are going to sew the button onto the pillow, and I got these white buttons, including a tiny button which I purchased from Wish. So using needle and thread, we're going to thread the button onto our pillow in the middle, and I've threaded it 3 times to make sure that it stays on. Then I've done the same for the 1/6 scale. Lastly, snip off any extra thread, and there's our completed pillow. This would really suit a modern day dollhouse. So that brings us to the end of our pillow tutorial. I hope you found a design that you'd like to make for your next dollhouse project.